Welcome to the Summit Ranger District of the Stanislaus National Forest. I'm Zachary Rich, a film student at the Somerville High School in Tuolumne, California. For my senior project, I worked with the Forest Service staff to develop this video introducing you to the area's geology and history, enticing you to visit our national forest. The Summit Ranger District is one of 4 ranger districts located on the Stanislaus National Forest. The area we are exploring is Highway 108, east of Pinecrest, California, about 180 miles east of San Francisco. If you want to see it firsthand, come between April and November when the snows melt and the road is open. We'll be following the route of the Great Highway 108 Drive Tour, a 2-hour audio CD available for purchase at the Summit Ranger Station. So let me begin with a little background. Because of the summit's scenic beauty and recreation opportunities, many visitors mistake this area for a national park. National parks, like the neighboring Yosemite, are managed to preserve national treasures. The national forests were set aside by Congress in 1905 to conserve resources and manage them for many uses. In those early days, the Forest Service faced many conflicting interests: cattle ranchers, shepherds, miners, loggers, homesteaders, developers of water for drinking, irrigation, and hydropower, as well as those who favored no use of the national forests.
Where conflicting interests must be reconciled, the question shall always be answered from the standpoint of the greatest good of the greatest number in the long run.
This statement was written by Gifford Pinchot on February 1, 1905. Continues to guide forest managers today as they strive to provide a balance of the forest's multiple uses for the American people. When visitors come here, they are struck by the beauty of these majestic mountains. If we were able to travel back in time, the view would be much different. The original Sierra was only about 3,500 feet high, filling up out of an ancient sea. Then, the rivers ran north and south. Over time, grinding down forces of wind and rain along with powerful tectonic forces slowly uplifted and tilted the new mountain range we call the Sierra Nevada. Today's range is about 80 miles wide and 400 miles long, with elevations over 10,000 feet and rivers running east and west. Along the highway, past the small town of Strawberry, you will drive through a road cut with rounded, water-smoothed rocks. These road cuts may be cross-sections of a stream channel from the ancestral Sierra. About 9 million years ago, the Sierra Nevada experienced a period of fiery eruptions. Today, you can see layers of volcanic ash and mud, evidence of this unstable time. The last major event in the geologic storybook is the glacial period. The Sierra Nevada holds many clues to the Ice Age. One of the obvious clues are huge boulders, seemingly randomly placed. These boulders were deposited here from many miles away by glaciers and left behind when the ice melted. They usually differ from the ground on which they rest, so geologists refer to them as glacial erratics. A few miles past the Summit Ranger Station, you come to Cow Creek Road. A short distance down this road is the site of California's first ranger station. Built around 1903 for $65, it sported a rock fireplace, a beautiful manzanita staircase, and front steps hand-carved from a single round of wood. Charles Taggart, a ranger here at the turn of the 19th century, once wrote,
We were pioneers in the Forest Service. There were no roads. Trails had to be cut and passage made for saddle horse and pack horse. Everything was primitive and grand. Sure changed up there. When we were there, nothing between Sonora and Strawberry but sugar pine and long barn.
Today, the cabin is gone, but the giant sequoia planted by Taggart stands as a sentinel and reminder of those former days. The next part of the tour is full of wondrous scenery. An obvious feature is the Dardanelle Mountains. This several million-year-old volcanic formation is an eroded lava flow that filled the old Stanislaus River channel of the ancestral Sierra. The softer material of the surrounding mountainside eroded, leaving the petrified channel high and dry. The volcanic vent was to the east near Bridgeport and flowed all the way to Knight's Ferry near Oakdale. This happened before the uplift era, when the old Sierra summit was farther east. The Table Mountain Formation near Jamestown is part of the same lava flow. A favorite stop for visitors is Dardanelle Vista, where you can enjoy an easy quarter-mile interpretive hike overlooking a breathtaking view of Dardanelle Reservoir. From the overlook, you'll notice the cliff downstream and across the canyon where the old Columbia and Stanislaus Water Company once hung a flume 200 feet above the valley floor. This flume, ditch, and tunnel system was begun in 1854 and completed in 1858. It took water from near the inlet of today's reservoir and carried it some 60 miles to the town of Columbia for use in hydraulic gold mining. It was built as a result of a miners' strike against the old Tuolumne County Water Company, which was charging exorbitant rates. So, the miners organized and dug their own ditch. It was an amazing engineering feat, as recorded by Mr. Hutchinson.
The engineering accomplished on that upper line, as it was called, was indeed a thing to marvel at, being at that time unique. Suspended by ropes at dizzying heights, men toiled week after week drilling holes in the perpendicular faces of giant cliffs, preparing supports for the great flume which was then safely to carry in mid-air a river in such volume of swift rushing water to their waiting claims a score and more mountain miles away.
Our next destination is another quarter-mile geologic interpretive site called the Columns of the Giants. As lava cools, its surface cracks into polygonal patterns. If conditions are ideal, these cracks can sometimes extend deep into the flow, forming a clumped mass of hidden columnar shapes. Over time, freezing water expands and wedges these cracks apart. Eventually, chunks of the lava break off, leaving behind a face of apparent columns on the remaining flow. Continuing up the highway towards the top of Sonora Pass, the road narrows and drastically steepens. Several interpretive signs remind us of the first immigrants who endured extreme hardships on their journey to California in search of new lives. The first party to pass through was the Bartleson Bidwell Party in 1841. Lost and starving, they finally arrived safely in the San Joaquin Valley. In the party was a young 17-year-old girl named Nancy Kelsey, the first woman to cross the Sierra. In the late summer of 1852, a wagon train originating from Ohio and Indiana, known as the Clark Skidmore Company, took 35 days to blaze a trail of 60 miles over the rugged Sonora Pass. The group consisted of 75 people and 13 four-mule wagons. This unbelievable expedition was not without obstacles. More than once, half-starved men were sent to Sonora and Columbia for food and supplies. Due to the difficult passage, many ended up deserting, and only 15 members of the original party reached Columbia. The nearly impassable route became known as the Old Immigrant Trail. Used from 1852 to 1854, it challenged hundreds of travelers, and in 1853, 600 wagons, 2,400 immigrants, and 19,000 head of cattle were said to have used this route. Many pioneers used East Flange Rock as a landmark, but some said you can just easily follow the route by the wreckage of prairie schooners, oxen yoke, bleached animal bones, and grave sites, which could still be seen in the immigrant wilderness. By 1855, other routes over the Sierra Nevada became popular. Very few would use Sonora Pass because of the considerable risks. After the East Flange Rock overlook, you'll discover the impressive granite wall called the Golden Staircase. Here you can witness the majesty and power of nature. When the sun strikes just so on the rock, it takes on the golden hue. Soon after this wondrous sight is the summit of Sonora Pass. This is where our journey ends. If you wish to learn more about this beautiful region and experience the drive tour firsthand, stop by the Summit Ranger Station in Pinecrest for a copy of the Great Highway 108 Drive Tour, or simply take a ride of your own. Come experience the beauty of the Stanislaus National Forest.